run through some of my gear, and I hunt a good bit, and I've done it for a long time, about 38 years I've hunted with a muzzleloader. So I'd like to just share what works for me. Lots of people that are good shooters out there, some are very proficient at what they do, have a different setup. But I always like seeing how other people use and work with their equipment. I prefer a bag that has the horn on one side and a bag on the other. I tend to not like the horn laying over top of the bag flat in case I need to get in it. It's not in the way. It sets on the opposite side, kind of balances things. Pros and cons to that is if you're hunting and you're moving up mountains and you're trudging up hills and stuff, these cross straps tend to put a lot of weight in. It shuts off your heat. So many times you'll get really hot and sweaty because you can't get the heat out of your chest. So when I've been out west and you know you're probably not going to be shooting a whole bunch, I'll take this horn, which is on a separate strap, go ahead and flip it on this other side and lay it on top of the bag. So it's like a lot of people use with the horn on top of the bag. But I don't tend to like having to lift the horn to get into the bag to retrieve anything. I'll put my knife on the front. The reason I keep the knife on the front side of it is because when you're riding a horse and you say if something catastrophe happens, you know, horse gets bound up, you got to cut a tie or a tug or something, it's right here where you can get a hold of it. Also, if you had a circumstance where maybe you have to fight off some critter or something, it's right here close to get a hold of. This one's got a wooden core in it with a metal tip, which helps a little bit as far as trying not to. If you had a leather one up here on the front, to worry a little bit about it just cutting through and possibly sticking the top of the leg. I use a ball starter. Don't always need it. We'll go through some different options with patches and balls here in a bit, but just in case things get tight, I tend to use that. I use a ball block for speed. On my ball block, actually this is a 4-shot one. You don't need many more than 4 in a hunting scenario. But what I do is the first one, which is the closest, is always a thinner patch. I shoot like about an 18 thousandths pellet ticking patch. I always throw like somebody that's maybe a 8 or a 10 thousandths patch, and I always keep it on the front side. The reason is because if I load with my standard load, which fits fairly tight, like I do target shooting stuff, and it gives you more accuracy, or at least I'm happy with it. If I shoot and I go to load the next ball, say the second one goes down tight and I know it, or I need speed, maybe I don't need this ball starter to put down the ball. I just go to this lighter, thinner patch, which I know is going to clear the bore and get down the chute. Also, I put a lanyard on it. Last thing I want to do is be running through the woods or anywhere and be having to go back and pick up my stuff. You know, ball starters flying, everything's flying. So I put things on short lanyards. Keep in mind the length of your barrel. You need to keep all your lanyards in accordance. So I put a bead on the front so that it just flips over here. So I don't even have to pick it up. I just pull it out and there it is, ready to rock. My powder measure is on a lanyard too. Powder measures are one of those things that I make mine out of antler, so you don't have a metal sound so much. Also, this one's a little bigger in size. I normally shoot a 54. This one's a little bit bigger or smaller caliber today. But I like my lanyard just long enough that I can reach everything. Also, it depends on your bore size. It's nice to have a measure that's not much bigger than the bore, so you can tip it and turn it. These ones where you have to hold it and be careful, all the powder wants to spill out of it because it's too big. It's like trying to pour a mason jar into a gallon milk jug. It doesn't work very well. So go ahead and make a measure that fits, and it doesn't have to be real heavy. I attach my measure straight center on the back of it. The reason is because it hangs perfectly straight down. So when you grab a hold of it, it just comes right to your hand, straight up, for a little bit of speed. The ones that hook from the side kind of hang crooked, I don't care for. My bag's got 2 pouches. One on the back is where I keep my essential stuff, like my flint and steel kit, extra balls, things that get out of the way. And then it has a front pocket on it. That's the business side. That's got balls, that's got patches. If I'm shooting a lot, I go here and so I can pull a ball, pull a patch, and I got all my equipment right there. And then what I do is measure, set him in the pocket with the loop out. So when I get ready to shoot, speed-wise, I can grab that, and if I don't throw it over here, you got your loop that hangs out here. So when you get ready to shoot, you just grab that, and you're ready to go. I can grab this, pull my block up, and I'm ready to go. Only thing left is to prime with. I've had different primers through the years, ones with pins in them, ones that had wires in them and stuff. The problem is if you use your teeth, you got to thread this thing, or you got to use two hands to thread it. It's a pain trying to get it in there. And if you ever have like a mustache or a beard and use the peg one and you stick it and you pull a whisker out of your face, you'll be like, not cool. So I made one up that's a lever, very similar to a Arsenal horn or a Cannoneer's horn. I have seen a couple old things that had the levers on, but that's not a necessity. But I keep it in the front pocket as well. So that's got your main stuff. Back pocket, there's a rain cover back here that goes over top of the gun in bad weather. I shoot like this, and I hold the gun in the center. What that does is I'm not going to drop the gun. I can kick my leg out, and then I can go to here, and so there's no chance of dropping the rifle. I'm not having to fidget around. So I can go to here, go to my powder. It's nice to have the mouth of the horn small enough that it almost goes inside of your measure. Almost. This one goes over, but it's a fairly big size for my 54. But it's nice to have one that's not too big. You'll have a much easier time getting that powder down into that charger. So those are just some basic things. I do carry what I call a leather tug, or like Dana Boone called a leather tug. Someday I may do something on that. That's basically about a 10-foot piece of leather that's kind of cut in a circle. I leave it wider in the center like a web in case I need to use it as a tump line. But I use this for either dragging deer or hanging deer up and deboning them in the woods. Just another piece of my gear. So hopefully that helps you a little bit with your bag and horn scenario. You can try different things that work for you, but that's what works for me.